But first, for your admonishment and entertainment, I want to introduce my co-host tonight. He is the worship leader of Aviv Worship. I should get that right, Matthew? And also a Root Awakening customer service coordinator, Matthew Hall. Shabbat Shalom, Matthew.
Shabbat Shalom, Scott.
How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Well, we are talking about Yeshua sometimes refusing to do what he was told and actually being righteous for doing so.
Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to test that. Do you always do what you're told? Do you?
Well, I'd like to say yes.
Okay, here, catch.
Yes.
See?
Good
See,
one.
you did it. See, I told you what to do. I said catch, you caught it.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
You put me on the spot.
I did put you on the spot. I'm sorry, I put you on the spot. But actually, we're talking about the leaven of the Pharisees. I mean, this is, the difference between their law and God's law. Sometimes it can be, confusing, especially in the New Testament with, even Peter said that, be careful with Paul's letters because, he's trying to walk a fine line saying, yeah, I know you're not supposed to do the law, but you're supposed to do the law. And you read that as a Gentile, Western mindset, and you don't know what to do with that because it looks like it's contradictory, it's not.
It's a big topic, especially within the Messianic community. It's, you leave the traditions of Christianity, the traditions of paganism, and it's easy to be inclined towards the traditions of the Jews because you instantly think, well, they're the people of God and we must act and be like them. But the reality is they have leaven in that religion as well that we cannot embrace in the same way that with Christianity.
Right. It's in both sides.
That was Yeshua's ministry, was removing the leaven of the Pharisees, and those were his brothers. Those were the people that he grew up with.
That's right. Now, you had a call from the other end of the world today with your customer service team from on this topic from Nigeria, was it?
Well, actually, he's from Dubai.
Okay.
He's a gentleman that lives in Dubai, but he was born and raised in Nigeria.
Okay.
And he shared some of the most amazing things with me. I mean, they just blew me away. And I had no idea that in Nigeria there is hundreds of thousands of Messianic, Yeshua-believing, Jewish roots, Hebraic people. And they have this community. It's called the Community of Yahweh.
Okay.
And when he grew up, I mean, his parents were previously Catholic, and they left the Catholic Church and went to a Sabbath church, is what they called it.
Oh, okay.
And this was 50 years ago, and they started going to that. He grew up in it, and over the years, what's happened, he was concerned. He called me, he says, I moved to Dubai and started hearing that they stopped using the name. They started using Hashem, and they actually changed the community to the Community of Hashem because, they
didn't want to say the name.
Exactly, and they were taking on these traditions. One of the biggest things that blew my mind was they actually set themselves up as spiritual high priests, and so they call themselves the Cohen. And they actually perform, much like the Samaritans, they perform sacrifices during the feasts.
Really?
Yeah, and
so they're really going off the deep end without
I think they don't have their hearts, I believe, are in the right place, but they don't have the right foundation in the sense of what does the Scripture really say? What was Yeshua's ministry? I mean, they believe in Yeshua, and this guy essentially was asking us. He's saying, we've got to get Michael into Nigeria. We've got to get these teachings. We've got to get on television. We've got to do what we got to do because you've got thousands and thousands of people who just need that little key to be turned in the right direction.
Well, we have a way to do that. That's bring it to the world. I mean, that's a perfect example right there where you can sponsor a country. It's Annie Reed can tell us for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's $100 a month or more, and then you can sponsor a country that you can, they can hear the word, and apparently Nigeria and Dubai.
So if that inspired you, I mean, go for sponsor Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Let's get these teachings, and he wants Michael to go down there, and so we're trying to coordinate right now how that.
Yeah, you can go to bringittotheworld.com and you'll see it all there. So anyway, hopefully we'll clear that up for you tonight. No matter where you live or where you're watching from, we can maybe get rid of this talking note.
Yes.
Whether you're on Roku or the Church Channel America, GEB America, we're on Hope TV in Canada, INSP in the UK, Omega Television, and LASE in every Spanish-speaking country in the world, YouTube, iTunes, Messianic.tv, Google TV as well. So, again, if you want to sponsor Nigeria, you can. Just go to bringittotheworld.com and you can help us out. So, it was this week in history that Yeshua warned his disciples to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, exactly what we were just talking about. It was in late September. But because of the ancient Hebrew calendar and our pagan calendar don't, exactly line up, it was this week in history, the first week of, October. So you'll find that day on the astronomically and agriculturally corrected biblical Hebrew calendar right here. We are on the second Sabbath of the 7th month, right before Yom Kippur, as a matter of fact, the Day of Atonement. And we are looking at events noted on the calendar this week from the chronological Gospels. And those events are number 116 and 117. So, and what that has to do with is the word Torah. Sometimes Torah doesn't mean Torah. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yep.
And it's interesting how people get that mixed up, and they think that the traditions become the Torah, and like you said, Yeshua came to split all that.
Yep.
But even in today's day and age, people are getting that mixed up.
This shows how important the linguistic aspects of translating text is, because that's that's a big word to get wrong.
That is, yeah, it is exactly, and that's why Peter in his letters said, be careful that you do not twist the words of Paul. I believe that was Second Peter 3:15, around there. Mm-hmm. And so, you have to be very careful. You have to comb through Paul's letters very carefully. Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes an argument that people give for not wanting to submit to the Torah, because you can't make sense of this.
Right.
And they say, well, the Torah was done away with.
Right.
I mean, after explaining to people what Torah actually is or is not, and because the word Torah is used loosely in the New Testament sometimes. Right. But you had a good concept about that, about how we need to obey law at some point.
Well, I mean, it must have been confusing for Paul, because Paul, he's dealing with these people who are coming out of tradition. They're coming out of the leaven of the Pharisees, so to speak. But then he's got Gentiles who are coming out of paganism.
Right.
They're trying to meet in the middle and say, oh, this is what it's about. So he's talking about the Torah of the leaven of the Pharisees, the leaven of the pagans, kind of much what we're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Well, my take on this, I explained to somebody, was we live in America. We're Americans. We live in the United States. And there's thousands of laws that we live under. Why do we live under those laws? Because we trust the government to give us and take care of us, protect us.
Well, to a certain extent.
Yeah, I don't know about as much now as maybe in the past, but we keep these laws. We don't run traffic lights. We drive the speed limit. We don't rob a bank. We don't do these things so that we can, one, keep our citizenship and stay in America, and two, don't get put in prison or even put to death.
Right.
Okay, so in the same sense, the Torah, the instructions, that's the true word of it, is the instructions of Yehovah. This is how he structured his kingdom. This is how he set up his governmental system.
Right.
So if we say that the governmental system of Yehovah is done away with, then we are renouncing our citizenship as Israelites, as the chosen people, as the children of Israel.
That is excellent.
We're renouncing it. And we're saying, I don't want to live by his rules, because we're not under that. Yeshua did away with it, but that totally contradicts the ministry of Yeshua.
Right. And unless you are part of Israel, you ain't getting in.
Exactly.
So
just read Revelation. It talks about it.
Yeah, that'll clear it up. All right. So we were saying, sometimes people say that, we only need to obey Jesus's or Yeshua's commandments, as if they were different than the Old Testament commandments somehow. But I don't get that. Right. I always say it like this, do you believe that Yeshua is the embodiment of God himself? Well, if God never changes, and Jesus was there in the beginning, so if Jesus is God and God never changes, and he was there in the beginning, which commandments are not his?
Exactly.
Can you explain that to me?
Yes.
And they're always like, what? So, Anyway, so let's get into what we're reading today, where Yeshua deliberately obeyed Pharisee law.
Right.
And there's a perfect example, event number 117 in the chronological gospel. So let's read about it. It's on page 147, Mark 8:22-26. When he, Yeshua, came to Bethsaida, Bethsaida, however you want to say it, they brought a blind man to Yeshua and begged him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him out of town. He spit on his eyes. And putting his hands on him, he asked the man if he saw anything. The man looked up and said, I see men like trees walking. So again, Yeshua put his hands on the man's eyes and made him look up. And he was restored and saw every man clearly. Yeshua sent him away to the house, saying, do not go into the town or tell anyone in the town. So now, the thing that we don't recognize if we don't know the history here is that rabbinic takanot absolutely forbid putting saliva on the eyes on the Sabbath. For whatever reason, I don't know why.
Because it's just not good.
It's not good. And that's in the Talmud, Tractate Shabbat 108b. If you really want to look it up, that's where it is. So, that's where Yeshua deliberately disobeyed the takanot of the Pharisees. Right. And in case you've ever thought too highly of yourself, like the Pharisees did, and you're not really seeing clearly, we present tonight's 7 signs. Okay, so now this is 7 signs you're not seeing things clearly. This is
okay.
Yeah, you know where this is going.
No, make sure you're clear on this.
Okay, so this is based on event number 117 that we just read in the chronological gospel. So, 7 signs you're not seeing clearly. You brought English muffins to Yom Teruah because it's the day of crumpets. Oh, wait, sorry, day of trumpets. I didn't have my glasses on.
My goodness.
There you go.
Maybe in England or something.
The day of crumpets.
That's
Number 6.
All right. You think the Feast of Tabernacles is for sukkahs.
For sukkahs.
Sukkahs. Yep.
Oh, sukkahs. Oh, I'm sorry, sukkah. Sukkah. Yeah, sukkahs.
Oh, man. Some people think it is for sukkahs.
I love that.
You're a bunch of sukkahs.
Sukkahs. Okay, you thought Yom Kippur was the constellation next to the Big Dipper. Makes sense.
That could be, I could see that happening.
Number 4 sign, you're not seeing things clearly.
Who is this Bethsaida girl, and why does Yeshua keep visiting her?
I know, big mystery. Same thing as Clarence. Who is Clarence, and why is he always having a sale? Get it, Clarence? Number 3. The jokes don't get any better than this, folks. This is what you're stuck with. I'm sorry. Number 3. You keep getting fricassee and Pharisee mixed up. Chicken Pharisee.
Oh, my goodness. That sounds like something my kids would say.
Number 2.
All right. You can't see the forest through the trees. Or is that men walking?
I don't know. We better go back to event number 17 and check
okay.
117. And the number 1 sign, you're not seeing things clearly. You thought Yeshua was a good leader because he was born a manager. Oh, wait. In a manger. Got it. There you go, folks. Tonight, 7 signs. Yeah, let's throw those ones. We'll be right back with Annie Reed. She'll tell you all about this month's love gift, the Sukkot collection. And up next, it's the best of Q&A with Michael Rood. Stick around. It's going to be fun.